Now the question is are we live according to Twitch? It looks like we are. Yeehaw. Okay, so let me know when you're into the thing.
I've never used Visor before.
It's okay. Pretty much none of my students ever have. But the more you get coached by either me or someone else, the more you'll use Visor.
I'm curious if shouldn't I have like an account already? I think I've already seen this somewhere.
Ooh. Just let me know whenever you're in.
Sure.
I kind of hate how it makes you sign up. I wish you could just like watch it as if it were like a Twitch stream, you know, or a YouTube video. It's like you shouldn't have to have an account. Like, what's the point? Unless you're gonna be doing the reviews yourself. Like, I don't think you should need one.
Nah. Well, it says I already have an account for this. Oh my god, what is going on? So I'm gonna reset my password then. Give me a second.
We'll just have you watch the stream back instead of watching it through Visor or Mayhem or whatever the hell it goes by now. Whatever it goes by this week.
I'm sorry that this takes so long.
No, it's fine. People get to just chill and wait. I don't mind. I mean, it's like early afternoon for me.
Oh, okay.
It's like
well, the time difference is really big.
Yeah, it's only a little bit past noon for me.
Wow.
Also, I'm gonna be doing a better job this time of like actually reading Twitch chat. So if anybody else like actually says anything, we might be able to do stuff there. Because last time when I was doing the review, I pretty much never looked at Twitch chat, but this time I'm gonna actually try to at least a few times. So if I just like start randomly rambling, that's probably what it's on about.
I think maybe I got it now.
Maybe.
Oh my god, what is this? What the fuck?
Best case scenario, my tea's just cooling down. Makes it more drinkable. So far, I'm just gonna scald myself.
Okay. I think it reset. I don't know. Let's see.
Round 3.
There you go.
Hey,
Nice.
are you in?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. Okay, so if I start playing it, do you see it too? It's probably still loading. Nice.
I see.
Sweet. Thank God. Okay, so while you're doing the hero select thing, the way I typically start VOD reviews is by asking if there's anything that you were doing, that your team was doing, or that the enemy team was doing that was giving you particular like trouble.
Okay, first of all, I think I have a really bad rank anxiety. And every time I pick DPS, it kind of starts.
Okay.
I'm getting super nervous, and I feel like a bot, like running around and tunnel visioning.
Okay.
And doing pretty stupid mistakes.
Okay.
I think that's my biggest issue. I don't think there was a particular enemy that gave me much problem though.
Okay.
But I think you will see that I'm just listening to our Winston shot call and play real passively.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's weird to see Tracers play super passively. They typically play way too aggressive. So
I don't want to feed.
I mean, there's a certain point where not feeding goes into just like not contributing. So we'll see if that pops up.
Oh my god.
It sounds like you've got like the VOD anxiety too.
A little. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean by playing super passively. Okay. Okay, so we'll go through this whole thing all one by one. We'll start like all the way back here probably. So going this way with your Winston, decent. You know, you're heading towards point, you're heading towards where people are. But you immediately start backing away from the Wrecking Ball, which he's pretty much free ult for you if you can get close to him because, you know, his hitbox is the size of Kentucky and
No.
there's pretty much nothing he can do to you to like one-shot you unless he gets the drop on you, and even then you can still recall out of it. So going in on him is basically just free pulse bomb instead of like backing away. That was the VOD, by the way, not my Discord. I had to double check. So right here, again, away from the Doomfist. Getting away from a Doomfist is fine to put range in between you and him. Because right now he's rocket punching, right?
Really surprised. I didn't expect him to rocket punch there.
He's
I don't know.
probably planning on rocket punching to close this gap right here. Also, the line's really straight. But anyway, what you want to do in this case is instead of blinking backwards like you do, because if he charged that all the way up, he'd still hit you because, you know, he's Doomfist. If Doomfist is punching in one direction, you want to blink perpendicular to it so that there's nothing you can do. It's like if he blinks, or if he's hammering or fisting that way, whatever the hell I'm saying, you don't want to blink into it or like try and blink through it because it's super risky when you can just either strafe to one side or blink to one side. So I would have either blinked towards the mini or towards the other mini. Looks like your Winston took it for you. So again, right here, you played a little more aggressive, which is solid. However, it seems like you didn't really know where you were going or like who you were going for. You're like, okay, you're going for this Junkrat now. You see the Doomfist, you switch to him. You do the side blink, which is good. That's what you should have done the first time. But you cut it a little close. It's the same thing with Brigitte. Like when Brigitte first came out, I was cutting the like blinks away from her stuns way too close. It's better to blink early than it is to blink late, obviously. If you slid into something like super hardcore like you did there, you should have died, but you didn't. So let's see what's. You see what I mean? Just free ult.
No.
It seems like you're decent with your blinks, just cause like you're not. Okay, I was just about to say, it seems like you're not engaging too much with them, but right now you're down to 1, and you're against a Junkrat, so like, you don't.
Yeah, in theory I know it. Like, I think like mechanically, like blink management, and in theory I know it, but like in game I don't know.
I think it.
Like,
I think it boils
I
down
don't know where
to.
my head is.
I think it boils down to like you being scared to feed, so you use your blinks to avoid everything instead of just the important things. So like,
Probably.
you blinks to avoid the Wrecking Ball, you blinks to avoid the Doomfist. Who else did you blink to avoid? You blinked to the health pack, which is fine since you're low. You blinked away from whatever the hell was going on there. So you have not crossed this like front line over here yet. So you're basically playing sort of weird backline tracer. Again, it's because they're playing super passively. You should be playing much closer to point and using basically these buildings, like the one way over there, as your like cover points, and then, you know, obviously on point, rather than this like pagoda thing over this health pack. So basically where you're going now is better. Since the Junkrat's up there, you basically want to treat him as not your problem because you can't get to him. Again, you're done to, what is that? Okay, so you're done to 0 blinks again. Oh. How much do you play Tracer? Like, how often do you play her?
Not really much. I picked her up right now, just to get like into DPS, because like I have a problem playing in High Masters low GM with supports. I'm actually a support main, and there's so many like games that there are no DPS whatsoever, and I was like thinking maybe I can pick up 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Just fill out the role.
I was gonna say, I can tell when like a main tank player picks up DPS because they're always in the shit fest of it all the time. And I can typically tell when a support player picks them up because they're playing really passively. Your positioning is basically like a support positioning. But think of it as if you're playing like Reddit Lucio or something, where you're just trying to go for like big frags, but you also have the awesome abilities of blink and recall, and, you know, pulse bomb every now and then to get those frags, right?
It just feels so squishy. I don't know.
You are really squishy, but it's because you're using your blinks for the wrong things. If you use them to avoid like a Junkrat concussion mine, then you'll feel a lot less squishy. But if you use them to avoid like I don't know, just a wrecking ball swinging around, you're gonna feel really squishy because then you're gonna be out of blinks, and then you're just down to your 150 HP and you're slight strafing around. So I think, have you caught the other VOD reviews I've done for students?
I think one.
Okay.
The Plat Genji.
Yeah, the Plat Genji. So I brought up a bunch for his Tracer gameplay towards I think it was the middle of the game or the end of the game. I don't know. He played Tracer for a bit, and their biggest problem with their blinks were using them to avoid everything, same as you. And I basically had to say, use them to trade your blinks for an enemy's ability, right? So if you want to trade a blink for like a Roadhog hook, that's a good deal on your part. Using it to trade for like a flashbang, super good trade. But using it for just a Junkrat primary fire, not so. I don't know if it'll happen, but I'm betting it will. So like right there, that was just 2 abilities used for like just trying to bait you out. Use the blink, so like whatever, but you're still down to 1. You're about to get your second, but you don't typically want to be this low on blinks all the time. Again, right there, you go. So 1 blink, he didn't even know where you were. Like he knew you were in that corner, but you could have just moved while he was punching because he can't turn around. His cam's locked. So you move over to here by just walking, and then we'll wait for it. He's still just primary firing right now. And then you blink over here, still only primary firing. And now, when he starts using his abilities, that's when you start to feel really squishy because you're down to 0 blinks and no recall. Thankfully, it doesn't really chase you very well.
Rocket punch me in the wall.
See, that's what you should do with Doomfist, right? If he's trying to go for this, Doomfist shouldn't be going for this long of a rocket punch. Like at this point, he's probably trying to use it for mobility to get to your team over on point. His goal isn't to hit you into a wall. If he can, that's great for him. But notice how you just like blink to the side, and then there's not much he can do once his abilities are used.
I think like I have a trauma or something because I used to play Zen a lot and it was one-shotting me.
Yeah, no, so right there.
Oh god, please don't. Oh my god, this moment is so embarrassing. You will see.
Well, let's count the blinks here. 1 into the wall, 1 forward. You've used 2 blinks to move a total of like 4 feet, and that 4 feet is closer into the enemy. Like, she has CC that you don't want to deal with. He has CC that you don't want to deal with. If I'm not mistaken, the Reinhardt's there too. Yeah, and Junkrat. So.
and that was like my problem. Like, I'm not sure when to not play passive and and when to just hide and wait.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll go through that. So notice how your team is they have control point, right? You're winning this fight. This fight's not even really a fight at this point, but they're gonna start regrouping. Your team pushes up a little bit, but notice how when you go back over to here, there's like this line basically right about here where this is the enemy. I'm just gonna put an E, and then your friendlies are back over here. I don't even know what letter that is, but you're about to cross that line, and you'll notice that if you look behind you, let's see if we can get a frame there. Sort of, but your team's here. They're all back over on point, and the enemy team's all behind you or where you're at. So you're essentially going in when your team is just chilling on point or behind this little line. So if we take like a top-down view, I don't know if I can get one of the little let's see, do I get one of Lighthouse? Sweet, I do. Where's a good one? We'll do this. Okay, so let's say your team, we'll make them a big green X over here. It's not a big green X, but there's a green X, and then enemies will say are red back over there. We'll go back to green. If you're chilling right here, you're super far away from your team, right? But you're also super close to the enemy team. You need to wait for the enemy team to either push forward or for your team to push forward, because Tracer works really, really, really well when there's not a lot of pressure that the enemy can put onto her, and she's the only one applying the pressure, right? So if you go in 1v3, 1v4, whatever, you are going to feel super squishy because you don't have enough abilities to make it work. It's the same thing for Doomfist. Like, Doomfist will be like, a good Doomfist feels really OP, but a bad Doomfist feels garbage. And it's because they're going in at the wrong times. Tracer can get 1 pick really easy, but she needs to do it when everybody else is already occupied with your team. Okay. So if we look back at this whole debacle, right? Entire enemy team's there. You can see your diva came up to try and peel for you. Your Anna's chilling back over there. I don't know who that is, but the point is that they're all back over towards point or on it, and you push too deep at that point, and now you're too far back.
Oh my god.
Okay, So it's a mixture of what looks like a panic bomb, but also a hey, I can capitalize bomb.
I actually wanted to do, you know, a 180-degree backward stick, but you know.
Let me try and freeze frame who all is in there, cause okay. So when you're trying to do this 180, you've got this Anna right here. She should be your first priority to stick. You can tell she was in there before you even blinks because you could hear her. Like if we go back, you can hear her firing. I think, unless I'm just insane. Yeah.
I think my problem was that I wanted to actually really just get the soldier because he had his right click, and I was scared that he was gonna right click me, so I wanted to stick him first.
Yeah, so for soldier, you already put a clip into him, and at that point you've invested a clip, and then if you stuck him, you'd invested your sticky too. And that's too much stuff for one easy pick, when you could have just 2-clipped the soldier, kited him a bit so he can't helix melee you, and then blinked in to stick the Anna, and then boom, you're 2 up, and you've used basically the same amount of time and the same amount of ability. So basically you went in for a stick that you didn't need to go for, on a target you didn't need to go for. It was a good time though. If you got a stick right here, it would have basically stopped the push before it even began. That's a good time. You can see right now, like, you're behind them, your team's in front, enemy team is kind of like lasagnaed in the middle. That's exactly what you want, but you also need to have a plan. So your plan was to stick the soldier. At least you like stuck with it. Like you went for the 180. After it didn't go well though, you kind of like do the panic blink recall thing going on. I don't think you've had a problem with it so far, but I'll go off on a little bit of a tangent with recall. Notice how you were in the back line, you went in, did some stuff, recalled, and then you were put back in the back line. What you don't want to have happen is you are in the back line, kind of chilling. You go in, you use a bunch of different stuff, and you take forever, and then you recall, and then you go right back in the middle again. So
I think that happens next.
I'm ready for it. It'll be super easy to point out when it does, but you want to either when it's King of the Hill like this, it's okay if you're in the back line. If you're in a payload map or 2CP, it's worse if you get stuck behind them when you don't want to be. But right now you want to be because their team's got a super hard front line. So roll with that, keep that advantage, but also make sure you don't get recalled right in the middle of them. Where did that blink even take you? I didn't even know where it put you. Oh. Oh, okay. It was okay. You don't need to blink backwards as much as you do.
Oh no! Oh my god.
Oh, we got a thing. Whomst.
I didn't even have recall. Sorry, I thought I had recall and recalled like way in the same position.
Hey, it's Commander Root. I don't know who you are, but I appreciate the follow. I had to like alt tab over to Twitch. Anyway, yeah. So like this whole.
That's bad position. I got booped and then I had no.
Look at how many enemies are on screen right now. Like, it's all but one, and it's just because the Doomfist is dead. Like, this is the timing where
I knew I was fucked.
I'm glad I paused it right there because I was just about to say they're all gonna turn on you because you're the only thing they're gonna deal with, and they're just gonna clap you.
Shank is low.
Oh my god.
Actually, here, wait. We'll try and pause it when you press tab. Okay, so the thing with Tracer is since you've only got 150 HP, you need to be hyper aware of what's on their team, right? So they've got 120. We'll try and write this out. 120 in the Soldier, 125 from the Widow, 120 from the Junkrat, 75 or 100. That looks like 25 or whatever from Ryan, and then Insta from him, and then whatever for her. So if you're below any of these numbers, HP-wise, you basically need to treat it as if you're 1 HP because they can just insta-clap you. If you're at 119 HP and you go in versus the Junkrat, you might as well be at 1. He can't melee you to death, but he can just one-tap you. Same thing with Reinhardt or Widow or Soldier. So if you're below, basically if you take any poke damage, you need to basically beg this Zenyatta to keep orb on you every now and then, so that you just get topped off. He's got his Doomfist buddy, so it might be a little difficult, but at least play micros or micro health packs as much as you can, because, excuse me, if you get low at all, you're gonna get super easily shit on.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll happen, but I kind of hope it does, so I can illustrate it.
Oh my god. I'm so scared. I remember this moment. Oh man. Like, I'm not sure what I should be doing here. Like, I felt so passive that I was like, maybe I should go in. Then I don't know.
What you're doing
Was
right
running
now,
around.
what you're doing right now is pretty much appropriate because if you went in on that Widow, you would have been going in when your team was back here, and it'd be the wrong time. But you're just kind of like, if you just chill in this general area or like back over behind you, then you're still towards the front line, but it quickly becomes their back line if they push up through this little like area over here, right?
Yeah.
So you don't need to go focus that Widow, which is good. I've seen Tracer players just try and go for it and then just get dunked on and like, what happened? So
I think
playing.
I'm doing that.
I mean, right now, like we'll see. I think you're going.
I'm going in. I think in a bit.
I mean, you can play a little bit more aggressively in this area. Like you can play not necessarily aggressively, but just closer up. Like if Ryan's here, you can be closer up to this corner, just so you're dealing more damage to him rather than just like chipping. Like look at that little tiny nibble out of his armor. Like Tracer at range versus armor is pretty much worthless. Like you're shooting basically water guns.
No.
So if you can close that distance, you'll be more effective.
I'm ignoring him.
Here's the.
And I see the Widow, and I want to kill her, but she's gone, and I'm confused.
I mean, the fact that she's gone and you're confused is not my primary thing. My primary thing is you were planning on engaging with this Widow, and you're basically one blink. Like, you were at 0 blinks, like, a little bit ago, just from going up the stairwell. So, you don't ever want to do that, especially versus a Widow. Like, if you need to get out of there, like, if you get Venomined, you don't want to have to waste recall, but you also don't want to have to fight that, because then you're going to die to just a body shot, or some assault rifle and some melee. So, again, always watch your blinks. You can use them passively, but you can also use them aggressively. I would stop using them, like right around here, just like before you get to this little wall, so that you can start charging them up, and so the Widow's less likely to hear you, because blinks are super loud. And if you're planning on sneaking up on somebody who's scoped in, if I'm playing Widow and I hear blink blink behind me, you bet your ass I'm turning around. And if I don't have a Venom Mine placed, I'm gonna place one just for the free damage. So don't let them give away your position either.
Okay. Oh god.
Again, a lot of blinks. Your recalls seem to be decent in the sense that you're not using them too early. Like, for this bit, like, you could have used it as soon as he shot you there, but at the same time, I'd see a lot of Tracers that would recall. Wait for it. Like, I've seen a lot of Tracers that would just recall right here, like right as he lands on you. It's good that you didn't, because, you know, you've still got 84 HP. You can milk that. Which, you know, if you're prepared for the Doomfist to jump on you, you would have milked it a lot more effectively. I mean, you won the round anyway, but...
I don't think I did a lot of things here. But I think the second round is getting better. I don't know.
I mean, a lot of, like, since you say you don't play Tracer, it might just take you, like, to warm up or figure out how the enemies play.
Could be. No, I think we'll lose this round though.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Well, the VOD's still got like 10 minutes left, so probably. So right here, playing these pillars is good because you don't know what they have per se. I'd get in the habit of pressing.
Scared of a Widow. Yeah.
Yeah, Widow's scary on this map, but because you're a Tracer, you can play these sidelines pretty easily. You don't have to worry about her as much. But do you press tab more? I would get in the habit of you can see the Widow now. I would get in the habit of pressing tab while the game is like starting up, so you can tell if they have a Widow, so that you're not playing passively if you don't need to, and you're not playing aggressively if you don't need to.
I have a Widow.
Yeah, so don't spend too much time on this Widow. I don't know if you're going to, but like don't.
I'm going high ground and I thought maybe she's coming there. But our Winston's taking care of her.
Yeah, Winston is pretty much going to be on this Widow constantly. Right now,
it's
you're
so
just kind of
hard. Like, is there a way to get up there?
Yeah, there is. Let's see. We'll go back a bit so we can get a good angle. You can basically just go boop, 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 and then you're good.
Okay.
Or you can go like up here and then over if you need to. But that's not really your job, because if you do get up there, if she gets a body shot off on you, you need to recall, and then you're off that high ground, and then she can just track where you recalled to, because, you know, there's like one way you can get up there. So if I'm playing Widow, right, I'm standing right here. Tracer goes up, tries to kill me. She recalls. I now know to look in this general area, so I can just body shot her again, and then I'm pressuring her, so she's super low and she can't do anything. You don't want that to happen. You've got a Winston and a Diva. At least I think you have Winston. Yeah, you've got a Winston and a Diva. That's their job. That Widow's just going to have a hell of a time.
That was so unnecessary.
See, using that blink to avoid the Brigitte is fine. That's like one of the examples of blinks where you want to use them. It's like the Doomfist. Like that's a passive blink, sort of, but it's more of like defensive rather than passive.
Oh my god, my aim.
The aim's not the part that I'm concerned about. The point that I'm concerned about is right here. That blink. Anna is looking in this field of vision. You come up over here, start shooting at her, and then Anna moves this way, and then you blink this way. I mean, maybe she could like 90-degree nade you or something, but for the most part, you didn't need that blink, and all it did was put you in a worse spot to get that kill. It somehow works out because she decides to go back around. That blink, though, to avoid the sleep dart was better. Clean stick on the Brigitte. Shame Doomfist stole your thunder. But
oh my god.
that was a good little micro play with the two supports there. Like, that's what you should have done. I mean, aside from the wonky blinks versus the Anna.
I don't like this Doomfist.
You're playing...
And I forgot to recall. I forgot to recall.
You're playing pretty far away from this Doomfist for the most part until you're playing really close to him. It's like right here. Like... You could have used blinks to, like, if you saw, we'll go through this one more time, because this is going to take some explaining. So Doomfist, Rocket Punch, check. That is one of his mobility abilities down. Now, how is he going to close his distance? Well, since he's playing Doomfist, he's going to slam you. So, you can blink either this way or this way to avoid his slam, and then if you kite him that way so that he uses his movement abilities, there's nothing he can do, unless you just, like, get some lucky or super skillful shotguns off on you. There's not a whole lot you can do. Like, force him to...
Yeah, sorry.
You can go.
So is that like a general rule that I should just kite him, or is there a moment I just go in and just try to be as close as possible and just kill him?
That's not like... That's a two-part question, but the question answers itself. So you should basically kite him until he uses his abilities. So if you think of it... McCree's the best example for this. Like, if this is McCree's range, we'll say he's right in the middle, you want to play just outside of it until he flashbangs, and then once he uses flashbang, then you can go in and go for the easy one clip, because you're not scared that he's gonna get the free headshot off on you. He might be able to still, like with the headshot melee, but it's nowhere near as likely. Same thing with Doomfist. Now that he's used his punch, and you know, you can predict, okay, there's distance, he's gonna use his slam. You use two blinks, one for punch, one for slam, and then you can just spend the rest of the time just strafing him, and you don't need to use any movement abilities, and you can just win by clipping him to death until he uppercut punches away. Like in this case, he should have saved uppercut for like the final blow to like get the fuck out of there, but whatever.
Helmet is low on point. Helmet is purple on point. Get the hammer, get the hammer.
Oh my god. I think I'll do another stupid thing.
Oh, so low on blinks. Widow vision, everybody. Okay, that was an example of. So your team is all right here. Check. Minus Anna, she's rip. Wait for it. Now your Zenyatta's down, so I'm guessing, I don't think you have 3 supports. Both your supports are now down. And the point is pretty much lost. I don't know. I don't think your Diva...
that was my fault. And I was just trying to go in and just do something to stall the point.
I mean, stalling the point's okay at this point, I guess, but like, everyone's kind of like half committed now. It just makes it worse.
I think they're stalling further. I don't know.
I mean, you got a considerable percent from it, so like, yeah, you fed, but like, I'll consider that value because you stalled for a while. You could have stalled for longer, but in general, it wasn't super bad. This is worse though. Like, you going in without your Winston there initially means that you're gonna be focused super hard. Like, especially by this. Oh
my god.
Oh, the blinks. So low on them all the time.
Hamster's purple.
No.
Oh, oh, you can't recall. Oh, the hamster. Okay,
my god.
so for blink melees, let's look at hamster's health real quick. So right here, you don't even need to blink melee. You can just walk forward and melee him. Because, like, that melee would have killed him if you just stayed where you were. You know, like, he's now, like, literally right where you were standing. Blink melees should be used to like close the gap if it's certain. Like you shouldn't have to 180 blink melee. That's like if you're here, you blink this way to somebody, you should just be able to melee them. If somebody's here and you're here, you should just like walk up to them and melee them instead of having to blink 180 and then hopefully melee like this.
One behind them. Kitana.
Oh my god.
Oh.
I hate this Doomfist.
You don't ever let your blinks regenerate either. Like you're always using them as like once. So you'll use your blinks in a fight or before a fight, and then as soon as the fight ends, you use them to get to a health pack or to get to the next position, and you never really end up at 3 full blinks ever. And I think that's one of your biggest problems is that like you're just too reliant on them for everything. Tracer moves really fast, and her hitbox is really small. And she kind of like leans when she changes direction, like Lucio. You know how Lucio's like, I'm walking this way. Oh, now I'm walking this way. Like, this is my body. It's super slanted. Tracer kind of does that too. So if you just start getting in the habit of strafing all the time, dude, you'll be amazed how long you can live. Like, you can just sit on payload, just strafing back and forth, and you'll live for about 10 million years. You know, they've got a Doomfist, so it doesn't quite work against him. But against people like the Ana and the Widow, and yeah, basically only those two on this team, I guess sort of Hammond. What is he doing?
Cheating. God, the Spall is so fast.
I mean, like, yes, he's distracting, I guess, but basically you don't want to be that Hammond. You
I'm
don't.
not sure what they were doing. Okay.
Yeah, don't be that Hammond as Tracer. You notice how your whole team just was like, oh, kill the Hammond, and he died. Okay, so for the blink pulse bomb, pulsing the Widow, not super bad. However, you go for the one clip, you like sort of like, oh wait, I can stick her, and then like just that thought process change is enough time and enough of a change from what you were initially planning to where you're like, wait, what the fuck? So when you go for the stick, she's already gone. So
I think my problem was I was aiming too low. I didn't expect to be on her chest and not on her head. Then I was like, oh fuck, I cannot kill her in that time, and I'm just gonna stick her.
Fuck it.
I'm grabbed.
One Ana.
Like,
okay, so like were you initially going for the one clip, realized that you were hitting her chest, and then went for the stick?
yeah.
Okay, so again with the planning, if you're going for the one clip, aim typically like prepare to adjust your aim because you know she could start crouching. That's probably the most common reason you'd be ready to adjust your aim. But in this case, it's just that you weren't quite lined up right. However, if we go, I'm just gonna go a little bit back to like after this wrecking ball or like during this bit. I noticed something like with your crosshair placement that was kind of weird. See if you can
Okay.
figure out what I'm on about, like just during this time, like after Doomfist and everything.
Go in now. 5 against 4. Go. Fuck it.
You see what it is?
I'm grabbed.
One Ana.
Pretty low.
Yeah, you're always aiming like at the ground. You're never keeping it actually at a level where enemies are going to be. If you keep your crosshair at the level where enemies are going to be, then you're cutting your reaction time considerably because, you know, if you see someone standing right here, you then need to move your crosshair up to them and then start clicking to shoot them. Whereas if you just kept your crosshair right here, you only need to start reacting by shooting, and then by default and by proxy, you're going to end up hitting shots on them, and then you can start adjusting your aim as they start moving. So
Okay.
it's a really hard habit to break. It happens a lot for new DPS players especially. Tracer's really common. Genji's even more common because they're always like double jumping and then looking straight down. But yours isn't as bad as I've seen it. Sometimes people are looking like right here in front of them. But in general, try and keep it at chest level. So not head level, because head level, you know, if someone's right here and their head's right here, if you're keeping it at head level, you're going to be missing a lot with your spread versus if you keep it at their body. But you can always micro adjust up to their head.
Fuck it.
I'm grabbed.
See if you kept it,
One Ana.
like you're basically aiming at her thigh and ass. If you move your crosshairs up, then you're a lot more prepared for that one clip, and you would have gotten it for free. And then you could have stuck the Brigitte afterwards, or their Ana, or whatever. Like
Yeah.
this is a nice clean line to just hop through.
Far back. On point.
See, like right here. Oh, damn it! I was gonna say, right here you don't use a lot of blinks, and you just use this cover until right about there. Like you just use the blink to engage on somebody that you want to kite, which I mean, you know, is a tactic, but I don't think it's one you should go for right now. I don't remember if she used shield bash or not. I wasn't really paying attention, but in game you should be paying attention to that. If she did use shield bash, then okay, blinking towards her was decent, but you still blinked way too close. Shield bash or not. Alright, so she just used shield bash.
Yeah, she did.
Being this close in general is still within her flail distance. You want to kite her to where she thinks her flail will reach here. You're right here, because then she's not trying to shield you, because if you're way over here, she knows, like, okay, I'll just put up my shield. But if she thinks she can flail you, then she'll keep her shield down and try to flail you so you can just kill her.
The question, like, I have now is, should I just completely ignore her, though? Like, before she ults? I mean, I think our Winston goes for someone else, and I was kind of annoyed by her and thought I could just, you know, annoy her that she's, like, a little lower and just needs help or something, and backs off, but she had ult. And I was, like, thinking, should I just completely ignore her in that case and just go for someone else? Or, I don't know.
I mean, as
Target
Tracer...
priors.
Yeah, as Tracer, you can get pretty easy support picks, except for, like, Brigitte. Brigitte's conveniently you're asking about the one hero that's kind of like it depends. If you are comfortable with killing the particular Brigitte in-game, then yes, you should just go for it and kill her. If you're not comfortable with it, then you can just pressure her and force her away from her team. Your main goal is basically to cut off the enemy team's healing supply. And if you're keeping Brigitte busy, making sure she's not getting flails off on you, but still, like, pressuring her away, then that's basically the same as her being dead, right? But it's not the same as, like, Zenyatta, where you can just one-clip him and then be done, or, you know, two-clip him or whatever. But Brigitte's case, pressure her if you can, kill her if you can. Definitely don't ignore her, but it's okay to, like, let her be temporarily while you go do something else. Because, you know, if Brigitte's sitting right in the middle of here, and there's nobody in this, like, general area for her to deal with, then she's basically dead. She's worthless. She can't flail anybody. She can't shield bash anybody. She can't do anything. So the main essence of this is if you can kite properly, you can then decide whether you should kill her or not more appropriately or more accurately, I guess.
On a widow. Widow dead.
Oh my.
Here's Zen just tanking. Well, nice.
Oh god.
Hamster low, hamster low, hamster low.
The blink in
Yeah,
midair
the
again.
blink.
See, there we go. This is an example of kiting. Watch what happens with the Brigitte.
Hamster low, hamster low, hamster low. I'm low, I'm low, I'm low. Quick.
Notice how she can't land these flails and she just, like, has to get the fuck out of there? This is blink melee, by the way. You could have blink melee'd her. But notice
I had
how...
blinks, I think.
I think you did. Let me see.
Really? I don't think. I was standing still and thought, like, okay,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I wanted to do it, then I was like, oh, I don't have blinks.
Right as I finished my sentence, you had a blink, and I was like, oh, you could have done it the whole time.
Yeah.
But you see
Yeah.
how she couldn't flail anybody. She couldn't get her own regen up. She couldn't do anything. She was late to the party, so she just died for free. If you can
Yeah.
kite her like that consistently, then you'll notice that Brigitte's no longer an OP piece of shit. You know, people are like, oh, Brigitte's busted, and I will definitely say that too. But it's just like you're standing in the wrong spot at the wrong time, or she's in the right spot at the right time.
Go back for heals.
I mean, I had some games where Brigitte was just following me the whole map across.
Then you can just kite her
So
the whole way, and then she's not doing anything.
I
Okay.
didn't notice where the
What?
Anna was, seriously. Where was she?
Yeah, I didn't know she was there either. What the fuck, dude?
Oh my god.
Oh, dude. What the? Why was she there?
Hamster low, hamster low.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, dude.
I'm getting fucked here.
Again, you blinked from out of range of the Brigitte to in range of the Brigitte. Like, she just used bash there, but you did it at the same time, and you didn't land the stick quite right. If you're gonna go for a stick on a Brigitte, be 100% sure you're gonna land it, because she's really hard to stick because of her micro shield. She can flick around all over the place, and she's not like Reinhardt to where she's slow. Like, she's fast as hell for some reason. So if you're going for the stick on her, you're probably looking at a 180 stick, and those are, like, difficult if you're not used to them. So I would go for someone safer, like the Anna, who conveniently lands right in front of you. She's a much easier stick, and she's, at this point, at least as valuable, because, you know, she could have nano. Did she use it? I don't remember. But, you know, she's Anna. Super valuable target. If you can stick her, you're in a solid spot, rather than going for the maybe stick on the Brigitte.
I think she's gonna use it now.
Need to kill Anna.
Or
need to
not,
kill
I
Anna,
don't
need to kill Anna.
You hear a guy calling, kill Anna, kill Anna, kill Anna.
Press Q.
You see Doomfist is about to die probably because he went in way too deep. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. So again, 0 blinks. Don't use a blink. Don't use a blink. Oh, there it is. Oh, there they are.
Ana low.
Oh my god.
There's an example of recall putting.
Somewhat
Hmm?
cringy to watch.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I could, man. Like submitting video reviews or videos for people to review is like, that takes courage, man. I probably couldn't even do it. But when it gets to this point, we'll go back to the VOD. Wait for it. So, 2 blinks right up to the end. She was asleep, but whatever. You don't ever want to be down at 0, especially when you're trying to contest. You want to conserve your blinks for as long as possible and use them if you absolutely have to, rather than just going aggressive on an Ana. You end up killing her.
Can you pause for a second?
Yeah.
But what should I then be doing? Like, if I should be like waiting for my blanks and not use them all, which target should I prioritize? Like in overtime right now, I saw the Ana and was like, hey, if I can kill her, I might have a chance.
Yeah, killing the Ana in overtime is basically your goal, but the way you go about it is wrong. You don't want to use both blinks to get up next to her because your goal is to still contest, right? That's your primary objective, is to make sure that your team can get to point and win the fight when they get there. By using both of your blinks to get to the Ana, you're getting closer to your goal of killing the Ana, sure, but once you do kill her, you're down to either 1 or 0 blinks, depending on how the Ana fight goes. And then your goal of contesting becomes a lot more difficult because once you're out of blinks, then you're just down to 150 HP and strafing, which in a big open point like this is a lot harder to do than on a payload, right? So killing Ana is a solid priority, but don't invest so much into it, especially when you need to invest. So basically spread yourself more thin, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Ana low.
It's like right there, you didn't blink. Now you're back sort of in your team. That blink for the health pack is like, okay, you needed to go for it, but you also could have just invested. Like at that point, overtime would, if you were the only person there, overtime would tick down so fast that getting that health pack wouldn't matter to you. You should just invest your 35 HP into more time standing on point, if you can. I mean, everybody just gets blasted over to you anyway by your Winston, but you could have contested for longer.
Like, I'm doing so much.
I felt so bad for the wins.
Like at the point where you just started trickling the contest, you guys would have needed a miracle or like some hella ults to win, but none of you were even close to it. So
Oh man.
Fogled Winston, I can't do more. Poor Sylvia. God, dude. What is this team? Why are they like... God. Are they having a dick measuring contest? If you're gonna be that person to like compare medals, at least like see what your stats are. Because like, if you have gold limbs at 4 in a 10-minute game, like you're not doing so hot either, buddy.
Oh man. Yeah, the Tracer.
Ooh. So we get into Tracer 1v1 territory now. Okay. The passive Tracer will almost always lose these. Because Tracer 1v1s matter a lot in terms of how confident you are. And if you're not very confident, you're not going to perform as well as you potentially could. So if we go all the way back to the actual like Tracer 1v1. I'll go all the way back. Okay. It's right here. She got the jump on you. You go for the health pack, but she already got it. So you've invested 2 of your blinks now for the health pack that you should have known that you probably weren't going to get anyway, because they're already basically at it. You can yoink health packs. That is a strategy in Tracer 1v1s, but not when the enemy Tracer is basically already sitting on it.
I want to camp health packs, to be honest, yeah.
Yeah, so
I don't think I can out aim her or something.
Yeah, so if you can't, you need to realize like what are your skills that come in handy in Tracer 1v1, and what's the enemy Tracer skills. So hers, I don't know what they are yet, 'cause it's only 1, but she'll pretty quickly realize that you use blinks more often than you should, because now you're down to 1.5 basically, and she's just gonna wait ideally for you to use your other blink or recall, and then she's won that fight because you've had to basically invest a ton of your time into this 1v1 and not win. Like she's now, wait for it.
Come on, Lucio.
Now that you're out of there,
Lucio hat.
she now gets free reign of that point. Like you're basically respawned at this point.
I'm gonna flag.
Where the hell are you? Oh, you're on the railing. I was like, why aren't you falling?
I was confused as well.
So your target priority on the Brigitte that whole time was like solid because you want her dead because she's healing everybody up.
Oh my god.
Go bear, go bear.
Oh my god. Oh, the recall. How low were you? I don't think you were low enough. Yeah, like 80s. You didn't need to. You could have just gone in here. Camp the health packs. There you go. With Tracer 1v1s too, if you're confident with your blink... Oh. If you're confident with your blink melees, which you don't seem to be, if you do get confident with them though, you're going to start winning a lot of them. Tracer battles come down to like blink management and mechanics. Aim isn't as important as you might think, unless, the other one just stands still and just one clips you somehow.
I hope that doesn't happen.
So here, you're doing the right thing of expecting the Tracer to come this way because that's the way you went and that's the way she's gone before. However, you've got the advantage of being here before she's here, right? She doesn't necessarily know that you're here. She might think you are, but she doesn't know where. You know which way she's coming from, right? So wait for it. You see her, check. But you blink and then poke, and it's like now you're a lot further away from this corner than she is. So if she also pokes, she's gonna get more value for her poke. See, she got a full bar off on you, and you didn't get. I don't know how much you got on her, but it wasn't enough, And now you're consciously thinking, okay, this Tracer's always gonna be behind, but she might not be. So she's winning the mental mind game.
Like, why don't we blade? Why don't we press Q? I don't know.
Why don't we press Q?
So many options I'm not using.
Oh my god.
So right here, it seems like you're kind of scatterbrained.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah, so what's happening right here is there's a lot going on, and you don't have a priority target in mind because you're like, oh, the Brigitte, she's kind of difficult. Oh, the Doomfist, she's kind of hard. Oh, the Tracer's like, if you need to pick one person, and be like, they're gonna die. That needs to be like your plan for fights like this.
And in that case, which one should I pick? I don't know. Like Winston and then like the wrecking ball is super hard to track. The Winston maybe, I don't know. I thought I could go for the Moira, then she vanished. The Doomfist is hard to kill. Trace, I don't know where she is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
So
like, I don't know,
ideally,
all of-
Brigitte and Moira are your first two. Moira's gonna be tricky because you basically need to have solid aim or solid use of cover or your recall and every blink up. 1v1ing a Moira is like really hard just because like her
Yeah.
self heal. But Brigitte is pretty easy if you just kite her. So kite the Brigitte first, then Moira if you can. If you can't get the Moira, then move on to the Doomfist or Tracer. And then you can, like, always intersperse into the Wrecking Ball or Winston. If I had to pick between Wrecking Ball and Winston, I'd pick Winston first because Wrecking Ball is just pretty much worthless unless the dude's a god, which pretty much nobody is because the hero's not very good. So it's basically kill everybody else and then use Wrecking Ball to get your pulse bomb when you're done. So right here, it's a common thing with Trace plays. I used to do it too, but watch when you stick the Brigitte. Notice how you're just kind of like watching the pulse bomb to make sure it actually still detonates.
Yeah.
Once you stick her and you see the stuck thing, you can typically go invest your time into something else because unless something weird happens, she's probably dead.
I mean, I had a moment. I don't think it is this game, but I stuck a Brigitte and she bashed into me and we both died to it. That's why I was so concerned.
Well, in that case, then you can get the hell out of there. But you don't need to, like, let's see. Wait for it.
I'm kind of scared that she's coming closer to me.
Yeah, but you can at least, like, look around for, oh, 9 HP, oh, 8 HP, oh. The free ult. Also, weird thing about
my
Hammond
God.
is his shield doesn't give you ult charge, so with his shield up, like, if you're not able to kill him, you're actually just wasting time. Like, 'cause he'll just go away eventually.
Where the fuck?
You totally lost the Doomfist. When you lose somebody like that, take note of where they are and then move on to another target if they're not going to come back.
Low, Doomshit low.
I don't know about that melee there. I don't think you needed to. Wait for it. The battle again.
Right there.
The reloads.
Monkey or hamster?
Hey, look, it's the exact opposite of what happened last time.
Low, monkey low, no jump. Hamster,
Not a fucking
hamster.
ball.
Notice how you won because you landed more melees. Like, your guys' tracking was about the same, even if you think yours was bad. Like, you just out meleeed her to death. You camped the health pack and meleeed. Tracer 1v1s in a nutshell.
Oh man.
Mine is in the choke when they come. They're coming mid. They're coming mid. Yeah, they're coming mid. They're
Yeah.
coming
I think I die.
I smell a Brigitte or something.
No.
I smell an
I didn't
overcommit.
expect it.
mid. Pretty low.
So you didn't expect the McCree, that's fine. But what you
Yeah.
should expect is they still have a Brigitte, as far as you're aware, right? So we play this
Yeah, they're
back.
coming mid. Play mine's mid. Monkey.
Pretend Brigitte is to your left, right? You don't want to leave that because you're just gonna get shield bash and wombo comboed. Even if they you didn't know they had a McCree, but you do know that they still have like a one-hit combo hero. And like if you miss this pulse bomb, like you could potentially lose point because they're investing a lot into it. So like, you know, plan it harder. Like when Winston comes around the initial corner, don't even shoot at him because then you're letting them know that you're back here. Just wait for that one crucial pick because you're just gonna get pulse bomb by waiting there, and you could just blink and stick that Moira whenever you want. You know, get more comfortable with the blink distance, and then you get the free kill.
Okay.
Pretty low. Moira can die. Moira can die. Moira can die.
Moira can die.
Come on, I just have to fucking kill.
Monkey, monkey.
It's smart not going into that. So your crosshair placement right now is a little better than it was before. Like you're typically placing it like at their waist or chest rather than at their feet.
Oh god. Yeah.
See, there you go. You don't have to use blinks for that. Boom. Look at that.
She
That's
died.
the mega bait. The mega bait. But what you were doing right here is good because you're basically like, wait for it. Now that you're out of his flashbang range, you're safe. Like he's suddenly a lot less scary, right? Like
Yeah.
you still deal a considerable amount of damage to him. Like you could have two clipped him there. God, I can't believe he focused on you that hard.
Oh man.
Okay, so
I don't know. I like to play against McCree's.
oh, McCrees are fun. They're so fun because like it's so rewarding when you bait out their flashbang or if you kite them.
Yeah.
This
But
is-
like I don't know. I'm scared of Doomfist, but McCree's are like if you get the flashbang out.
Just think of
Kind of
Doomfist.
fine.
Just think of Doomfist as a close range double McCree. You got to get the punch out and you got to get the slam out. Once you get those two out, then you're good for a few seconds until they get their punch back. Because you can work on them. God, why is the LOD still doing that? I'll pause it. God, I hate how it loads like that. But anyway, think of Doomfist as a double McCree because once you get both of his slam and his fist out of the way, then you're solid for a few seconds until he gets his punch back, and then he can just uppercut punch out of there, and then you'll never see him again because he's got super solid escape. However, we'll segue into the stats. We've conveniently got it up here. Everything looks like decent. Nothing stands out to me as like, oh my god, you need to work on that other than the pulse bomb kills. It was a 13-minute game and you got 2 of them.
Yeah.
If you boil it down to even just rounds, you got 2 pulse bomb kills in 3 rounds. You should get at least 1 per round, like at bare minimum. You stuck 3, which is 1 stick per round average, but you're not getting value out of them. And if you're not getting value out of Tracer's pulse bomb, you're missing a considerable part of her kit. Part of that comes down to confidence to like actually try and stick somebody, which the more you play her, the better you'll get with that and the more confident you'll actually feel.
Okay.
That said, is there anything that I brought up that you want me to clarify more or that was weird or confusing?
No, I think everything's fine. So I think probably my blinks are the biggest problem and the pulse bombs, right?
Yeah, your blinks, your pulse bombs, your general timing on things. Your basic mechanics aren't actually that bad. I was expecting to like have to touch on them more, but for just picking up Tracer recently, you're not doing that bad. We can work on it more in the future if you want, but you should work on just your confidence on the hero first, because if you can practice your 180s, for example, or your blinks all you want, but if you're not confident to like take on engagements that you have a decent chance of winning, that it's like if you flashbang somebody's McCree and then roll away because you're scared that they'll kill you when they're unstunned, It's like you got to have the confidence to stun them and then go for the kill afterwards. Once you get that confidence, then we can work on the part of knowing whether or not you're actually going to kill the person,
Okay, well, I've been trying to one trick tracer right now, and I think I'm a little climbing right now. I'm 3-7. I think in this video it was 3-6 something.
Let me check.
So,
Like, yeah, 36, 70 average. So, like, you know.
I'm not sure. Like, I'm never like really doing a lot, but I kind of win games.
I mean, at least you're winning. Like, if you were not doing a lot and losing, there'd be more cause for concern. But the things I have seen you do are typically right for the most part. You just need to work on doing them more and doing them better, you know? Once you work on doing those more and better, then you can work on doing the things that you're doing wrong less and better, I guess. Or less and less worse. Anyway.
Okay.
I typically
Well,
type
I
up
will keep trying. I will keep trying to be more active.
Yeah, for sure.
But maybe I'm gonna feed then, but that's another problem.
Yeah, if you feel like you're feeding, then back it off a little bit, but you can be a little more aggressive than you are. Just make sure you're being aggressive in your playstyle and not just your blink usage, because if you're more aggressive in your blink usage, then you'll find that you have none, and then you're definitely gonna feed, and then it's gonna feel like, what the hell is happening?
Okay.
That's not gonna be good at all. But anyway, I typically type up a list of stuff to do after each session, so I'll get to doing that. I've got another student in about an hour, so I'll be streaming again in an hour. I'll type that up. If you want another session, I typically recommend waiting about a week or so, because then you've got time to apply everything, but also it's still recent enough to where I can catch bad habits if you've got any.
Yeah, and I think we have a problem with time zone, so.
Yeah, but this time, this time
Yeah.
on this day pretty much works for me.
Ah, nice. Well, then maybe if you're free next week.
Mhm.
do
I should be.
same time.
Yeah, if you can record a VOD, I'll be down.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
No problem. Have a good one.